Turkey is about to be given permission to sell some of Russian missiles to UAE. And that's what me and Mustafa are going to be discussing this afternoon. Does it look as if Russia is about to betray Iran? It looks as if it is, but let's see what happens. Welcome, Mustafa, to
Yeah, I
another
think the
World
guy's
Culture
name is
Show.
Paul Craig. What's his name? Paul Craig Roberts. Yeah, Paul Craig. He says that he's complaining that Russia and Iran, all of them are stupid, and that Russia gave the green light to Turkey to sell S-400s to the UAE. Um, he's saying this is stupid because Russia is supposed to be an ally with Iran, it's supposed to be helping them, but by selling S-400s to the UAE, we're not sure if this is going to go through, but Russia's considering it. By selling this interceptor missile system to the UAE, that's going to be what's going to tip over the war and frustrate the UAE from being able to, frustrate Iran from being able to attack UAE, Saudi Arabia, not necessarily Saudi Arabia, but Qatar and those countries, because they'll now have interceptor systems that can stop them. I think that's a ludicrous claim. What's ludicrous is to think that the S-400 will be able to stop Iran's missile system or any system. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it does seem strange that Russia is allowing weapons to be sold to people who likely are aligned with the U.S. and will definitely use them strategically against Iran, because we know that BRICS and Russia and China and Iran are supposed to be like this, and doesn't make sense for Russia to be selling them, letting Turkey sell a missile system. Uh, I agree. The only thing I think is that these S-400s aren't going to make any big strategic change in it. So I think Russia's saying, why not let Turkey sell it? We make some money out of this, and let people waste money because this system will not work anyway. I think that's what Putin is thinking. But I also have a sneaking suspicion that all of these guys, Putin, Xi, and all of them, I have a sneaking suspicion that they put profit over victory, and maybe they just believe they don't even need Iran. I'm not going to speculate about that today, but I think that nevertheless, the S-400 will not turn the tide in this war for UAE. Very quickly, UAE says that Russia says that what was holding back the reason they want to allow UAE to sell the S-400s is that America says that UAE can't have not UAE, Turkey, that Turkey can't have S-400s and F-35s at the same time. F-35 is an American system. S-400 is a Russian system. If you have both, then your F-35s will be able to detect American systems. So they have to get rid of the S-400 so that they don't have a system that can spy on the F-35, and that what you call it wants to buy the F-35 instead Turkey. That's a lot of bullshit. I'm not going to get into it. But let me talk about why I don't think is it the S-400? They call it S-400s. The S-400s will not help UAE stop attacks on American bases from Iran. The S-400 is made mostly to strike airplanes from a long distance. It has a long range. It can strike airplanes and ballistic missiles from a long distance, but it's not necessarily made for cheap drones and cheap missiles and that the type of stuff that Iran would be sending to them. And also, Iran sends layers of things. It sends saturation. It sends decoys. It sends layers and layers of missiles. The S-400 is not dealt to is not equipped to deal with saturation attacks, which is what Iran uses anyway. So the F-400 might hit a few missiles here and there, but it would be just as useless as the Patriot systems that the U.S. uses that they gave to Israel. It'll be just as useless as Israel's dome. It'll be just as useless as the interceptor systems that the U.S. are using in the Gulf, which Iran destroyed. And the reason it's as useless is because the way the Iranians attack is they send a lot of cheap drones first, swarms of them. They saturate you and waste your interceptor missiles, taking them down. Then they send missiles which burst into hundreds of parts as decoys, and you don't know which one is the main head coming at you. And then you continue wasting things. Then after that, they send in their hypersonic and ballistic missiles. And these hypersonic missiles can't really be stopped or contained by any missile defense system in the world. So if Russia's allowing UAE to get the S-400. They say, let them have it. After all, it won't help them anyway, and we make money. So I think that's what I'm trying to say. So strategically, this will not tip the war. But Paul Craig Roberts is like, oh, they're stupid. They don't know that they're about to lose because that system is going to destroy Iran. It won't. What are your thoughts, Afolabi?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's no significant structural advantage this hands over to UAE because I mean the S-400, from the little research I did, is akin to some of the most ineffective Western kind of air defense system. I mean,
Even though it's a Russian system, yeah, but it's
if you're going to
obsolete.
be fighting against massive swarm of missile salvos, swarm of drones, decoys, electronic warfare, and stealth aircraft, this will not be very, very effective from the little I read. And the Iranian military doctrine is specifically designed to exploit this kind of weakness. So instead of trying to counter this, what they would just do is to launch their ballistic missiles, cruise missiles. They have one-way drones as well as decoys, and these decoys are really very effective because you really don't know which one is designed to hit the target. So I think Russia is willing to take a chance on selling what is almost not very useful to or giving permission rather to Turkey to sell almost something that is not useful to the UAE. I don't think it shifts the balance in any way in UAE's advantage, really. I don't think so. This is not a foolproof system that can in any way undermine what Iran has at the moment. The same approach that was very formidable against the West here will still, overwhelm the S-400.
Yeah, and I overstated. It's not that it's considered obsolete, but it hasn't been very effective for the Russians against Ukraine. And I think this goes back to the idea that it's very difficult. It's just like if there's a bunch of rain coming into your house, it's very difficult to, if you have leaks in your house, even if you have 99% of your house is okay. If you have leaks, it's going to come in. And what that was proven during the Iran U.S. war. U.S. and Israel were hitting Iranian sites, no doubt. Okay, but Iran was hitting them too and wasting their missile system. Now, the advantage that Iran had over the U.S. and Israel was that Israel and the U.S. couldn't actually hit Iran's sites from where their launches are coming from because they come from under the ground. They're using guerrilla warfare for their missiles. They put their missiles in mobile devices, no mobile vehicles that come and go under the ground, so you can't find them. And also, Iran is decentralized, so there's no one area you can target. But if you have an area that's very important, like American bases or Israel infrastructure, just like Iran, those things are going to be vulnerable. And I don't think the S-400 is going to help Iran because what not help Iran is going to help UA because once Iran figures out a target, I don't care where it is, they're going to start overloading it. And yes, you might be knocking them out, but eventually, as you're doing it, you're going to be overwhelmed, and your system's going to be overwhelmed, and you're not. And then the second wave of attacks come, they're going to overwhelm you again. Then when you finally get missiles that splinter into different parts, you have to decide which one am I going to stop. So this layered approach, which is also very inexpensive, is just
Exactly.
something that can't be stopped. Nobody could stop it. Iran, same thing. Iran, a lot of attacks that come into Iran, Iran can't stop it. So what you have now is going to become a war of attrition. Who wants to last longer? Iran is a country of 90 million people. It's decentralized. UAE is a very small country. If they think that they can hide behind this S-400, they're absolutely delusional. What are your thoughts,
Yeah,
Folabi?
and what I really even feel is that it's not as if Russia is doing this to undermine Iran. I think they're just trying to maintain a kind of multi-alignment, maintaining ties with competing regional powers. This is not targeted at Iran in any way because, I mean, they know how formidable the Iranian approach is. In fact, I dare say most of the Western defense system, for them to be tested as being formidable, they need to, pass them through the ironclad of this Iranian system of everything coming at you from different directions and not knowing what to do. Because at the end of it, it's just like a goalkeeper. When someone is shooting at you, you can easily dive and save the ball. But when you have 3 or 4 people shooting, you don't know which one to go for. So
Yeah,
that's the principle behind this. And I don't think Russia mean ill for Iran, but I think they want to have a broad, multi-aligned system where they can, have
Yeah.
strategic partners and not necessarily have a favorite. That's the way I see it. And I don't think
Now,
it's,
yeah, now during my research, and the
yes,
S-400 only works within a multi-layered defense system too, which
yes.
which is not just trying to hit. So here's what the research shows. Okay, so here's what it says: Why saturation attacks defeat the S-400? Iran's saturation strategy relies on launching overwhelming numbers of low-flying Shahed kamikaze drones and cruise missiles to drain interceptors, followed immediately by high-speed ballistic and hypersonic missiles. The interception limit. A standard S-400 radar can track and guide up to 160 interceptor missiles to engage 80 distinct targets simultaneously. If Iran launches a wave of 100 plus low-cost drones mixed with missiles, the system reaches its mathematical saturation point and becomes overwhelmed. Interceptor depletion. S-400 interceptor missiles are highly sophisticated, expensive, and limited in number per battery, forcing an S-400 to waste these high-tier missiles on slow drones, leaving it defenseless against subsequent waves. That's what I said before of ballistic missile threats. Recent regional conflicts have highlighted Iran's use of cluster-type ballistic missiles by by dispersing dozens of submunitions mid-flight. Thank you, Kunle. A single missile creates a cloud of unpredictable targets that completely shatters the S-400's tracking and engagement. Now, if deployed as a standalone system, an S-400 battery will quickly be blinded, depleted, and destroyed by an Iranian-style saturation strike. It is only suited to survive such attacks if it is deeply integrated in a multi-tier integrated air defense system that uses a high volume of shorter range guns and missiles to shield it. So it means that you not only you have to have those expensive stuff, you have to have all kinds of missile shooting and gun shooting at different angles. So it's just one step in a process which they would need to defend themselves, which costs a lot of money. And I'm going to end with this: UAE, Israel, and America, and the allies of the U.S. who are fighting Iran are going to lose this war eventually, not because of a lack of good equipment, but because it's too expensive. And the United States is printing too much money and is in a critical position where it's going to collapse internally. In America, even to produce weapons and produce great things now, the school system is not providing the talent, so they have to bring in foreigners. These countries are going to implode. Meanwhile, Iran has this cheap systems that work. My only argument to Iran is that Iran needs to be striking now and not give UAE or America or Israel time to rebuild and build these more complicated systems which could defend them. If I were Iran, I wouldn't even be talking anymore. I would just be striking. What are your last thoughts, Afolabi?
Yeah, and yeah, that encapsulates the brilliance of your thought process, because at the end of the day, they're just bleeding the economy by wasting expensive systems on cheap and effective attacks from the Iranian side. Iran's strategy relies on overwhelming defenses through coordinated ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, drones, decoys, and saturation attacks. So an approach that no single air defense, even if it's Russia or Western, can reliably defeat on its own. So Russia's willingness to consider to transfer, well, it may be plausibly explained by commercial interest. You never know. And then the practice of maintaining relations with rival Middle East states might be the thinking behind this. But I don't think this is targeted at undermining Iran in any way.
Yeah, but do you think that it's appropriate for Russia to allow it though?
No,
It's
I
it's a
don't.
sort of
I don't think so, really. But it doesn't
it's not
strengthen UAE. It
even though
doesn't.
it's not appropriate. It's not
It's not
appropriate,
appropriate.
and and
Correct.
and and it goes to show you at the end of the day, these people only care about money. And I'll even go
Yes,
further.
commercial
I'll even
interests.
go further. It makes me question Russia's loyalty to Iran, and it makes me wonder now why it seems so clear. I'm not saying that the West can win. I'm not saying that the U.S. and Israel can win, but at least they're ruthless. They don't do anything that helps their opponent. Do you understand what I'm saying? And they're loyal to each other. I don't see this loyalty for Russia or with Iran. I didn't see anybody do anything when they took over Venezuela. It seems like China and Russia, it's not that they don't like their allies, it's that they're trying to still be diplomatic and look at business connections with the US and everybody else in the world. But they don't realize that these countries are out to destroy them. You understand what I'm saying? At some point, you have to do war and say, even though I'm making money from dealing with America and Turkey, this is existential for Russia too. I don't think they're taking this threat seriously. Do you?
No, they're
They're
not.
not taking it. And when you go to war, you have to make sacrifices. You say we're going to lose business, but we have to make sure these people don't stop because America and Israel are ruthless. They're killing women and children all over the world. They're doing genocides. When they want to bomb you, they take countries. China and Russia are being gentlemen. They may still win, but it's going to take longer. Just like they're allowing Ukraine, they're allowing the West to let Ukraine. In Moscow now, you can't sleep at night without worrying about drones from Ukraine. Russia should have sent a missile to London now, a ballistic missile, and take down one building and say, "Don't you ever help Ukraine attack us anymore," and they'll stop. But they're like, "Oh no, let's keep going," and then it will escalate to the point of a nuclear war. You see what I'm saying? I follow me. Last thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, you're right about that. Maybe the ruthless approach may have been a better thing to do because there's no how you're going to convince the world that by helping the UAE, you are not undermining Iran, basically. It's just not,
And you have to be more ruthless. You have to treat these people as if they're your enemies. You can't have diplomatic lines. The
because
U.S.
at
has
the end of the
diplomatic
day,
lines.
how much more are they making anyway from this kind of
No,
transaction?
no,
It's not
this type
much.
of greed will destroy the world. And
It's
then it
not
makes me
much.
wonder: does Putin care about Russia, or does he care about his own bank account? Do you see what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying?
I
Because
understand.
how can you have diplomatic re- correspondence with a country which is giving Ukraine weapons to attack your country? No, you have
Mm.